Hey everybody, good morning. Happy Thursday. Hope you're doing well. I know I get followers from all over the world and different temperatures and different conditions out there, so hopefully everyone's doing well. Hope your families are doing well. It's good to see you joining me on a Thursday. As you know, I'd like to start off all of my live streams with our global roll call. I love to hear where you're from, so if you're joining us, please let me know the city, state, province, and country that you are joining us from. I have my chats available. I have my chat going here. As soon as somebody puts something in the chat, we'll see it pop up over my shoulder here. Really look forward to our discussion today. We've been having some great questions, a really good mix of people and abilities and levels. So again, I'd like to start off hearing from you so that we can keep the conversation inclusive. You don't have to be some amazing data scientist to participate. I love hearing from all of you and contributing here. There's so many different people asking different questions. And what I'm really loving recently is that we're seeing cases where the chat is helping each other, with answers and stuff. And I love seeing that community building. And also something kind of cool today, for the first time, I'm able to push this stream out to my company LinkedIn page. If you don't follow me on LinkedIn, please do so. I am Data Science with Dennis on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn requires you to have a minimum number of followers in order to enable live streaming. And I finally passed that threshold last week. So today, for the first time, I'm actually pushing out on the company page. So I'm really excited about that. It's not like I have a ton of followers. Maybe this only matters to me, but I think it's pretty cool. So I'm pretty happy about it. But please don't be shy. I'm seeing people joining in on Instagram. Don't be shy about letting us know where you're from. I already see a couple in the chat, which is great. They'll keep on appearing over here on my shoulder. So while you're doing that, while you have giving you some time to let me know where you're from, I always like to start off with an opening note. And I go on my daily walks, and sometimes I share those walks on my Instagram account or whatnot. But it gives me a lot of time to think. So today I was thinking, what am I going to do for the opening note? What do I want to talk about? What's the message I want to get out? So today's message is, I want you to take your next project, and I want you to take it as an opportunity to start working in pure Python. So in other words, no notebooks. I want to challenge you to make your next data science project, whatever it may be, and to start moving away from notebooks. I've taken polls on my community, and I know the majority of you do use notebooks, and notebooks are convenient. They have their place. But I think the more that you progress in your career, the more you're going to find yourself doing advanced Python, which means that you're going to be using notebooks less and less. So I want to challenge you to start working with an IDE and start writing your own Python from scratch. So that means you're going to have to manage your own environments, which is a vital skill. And you're also going to have to write your code in a little bit more of a formal way. Notebooks don't always enforce you having to write in a formal way, right? So start to drift away from that and start working more in scripts. It's going to help you develop your skills. It adds a little bit more polish to your code. And really, there's going to be a ceiling that you're going to hit with notebooks. There's going to be things that are much more appropriate in a script. So for example, two examples is, one, when you start working in a more enterprise environment, more of a distributed environment where your applications are going out to multiple servers and geographically dispersed data centers, things like that, you're going to need scripts. The old saying holds true: you can't deploy a notebook. And the second thing is that as you advance in your development skills, you're going to hit things that really don't do well in notebooks. So if I always use the example of like multi-threaded applications. Multi-threaded applications don't really do well in notebooks, right? You kind of need that within your own Python code, your own object-oriented code, by the way. So those are the things that I want you to start thinking about. Let's start drifting away from notebooks. Start thinking more about writing pure Python. I want to challenge you in that for your next project, whenever that may be. But, if you really kind of want to take on that professional look, that professional mindset to your development, start looking less at notebooks and more at code. Okay, so hopefully that gives you guys something to think about. If you want to give me some feedback, feel free to put it in the chat. Maybe you're somebody who's really gung-ho on notebooks and you want to tell me how wrong I am. I welcome it. Please go ahead and let me know how wrong I am about letting go of notebooks. So again, if you want to, please go ahead and introduce yourself. I want to hear about your city, your state, your country. It leads to more discussion. It leads to an inclusive discussion. I see more people on Instagram than I see people contributing their location. So don't be shy. Please let me know where you're from. But I'm going to go ahead and start and start looking at some of the people that have already checked in with us. Mosin says, thanks, Dennis, for doing this regular streams from Chicago. Cool. Good to hear from you, Mosin. It's good to see more people from Chicago. I have a couple of good friends. They're good data scientists there. So glad to see you here. Thanks for doing this regular streams. As I've said before in some of my other content, I really don't watch other influencers or other people. I really don't care. I'm just doing what I do and sharing my experience. Are there other people out there doing live data science streams? I can't think of any, but maybe you guys can tell me. You guys can tell me in the chat. If there are other people doing live data science streams like this. As some of you, if you follow my Instagram, then you also know that I also do a live data science class. And to be frankly honest, I do these because it's just more fun for me. I don't like to sit down and record things and do that. I'd rather just kind of keep the conversation loose and fun with all of you. I really enjoy these live streams. So you guys can let me know, kind of what's going on there. El Tashish says, hello, Dennis. Hope you're doing well too. I am Ashish here from Surat, India, not from Lebanon. Thank you for streaming. Yeah. Did you check in from Lebanon before? Because I know I've seen you in our streams before. So thank you for supporting that. Were you in Lebanon previously and you moved to India? Let me know that. Okay. Punith Nirwani says that they are checking in from India. You guys always tell me just India, but I know that India is a big country. I've had staff in India. I've never visited India. I want to go, but I've had staff there. It's such a big country. You can't just tell me India. You gotta be specific. So let me know more about where you're actually from. Salik just says hello. Salik, let me know where you're from. Don't be shy. Let us know where you're checking in from. Safran Hamid says, hello, Dennis. Hope you're doing great. I'm from Frankfurt, Germany. Well, great. Welcome. It's always nice to see people from Western Europe. Western Europe makes up about 15% of my audience in my analytics, I think. So good to see you here. I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. I had a great walk today. It is super hot where I lived in my part of the world. I think today it's going to be about 115 degrees, which I think I did the conversion. I think it was 41 Celsius or something like that. So I get out very early for my walks. Today I started at 4:30 in the morning, so it was really dark out. But it's really the only time you can exercise if you want to go out. I'm basically going to be indoors the rest of the day. But I'm doing great. I'm going to have the stream with you guys. I'm going to work on some more content. I have a couple of special projects that I'm working on. So thank you so much for asking. But I'm doing great. Hope the same for all of you and your families. Kevin, my friend, I know you've been a big supporter. Hi, Dennis. Good morning. Kevin, you are from Ghana? Or was it Nigeria? You can correct me, Kevin, but thanks so much. Thanks for being here. TP810. TP, I'm going to come back to your conversations. I do questions after the global roll call. But let me know where you're from, TP. Divya Kirans is DK from Cincinnati. Well, good to see you, DK. Welcome. Kirti says, Kirti is checking in from Kirti, India. Well, good. Welcome. Good to see you here. Hope you're well. I'm assuming India is also very hot this time of year. Danny TQ, I'm going to come back to your question, Danny. If I tell you I'm going to come back to your question and I forget, feel free to remind me later in the chat. But let me just finish the global roll call here real quick. Deathlock from Bangalore, India. Deathlock, I think I've seen you in the chats before. Thanks for coming back. Vish, I'm going to come back to your question. Is it front end baby or front end BBY? Let me know how I should pronounce that. Hi, Dennis from Mexico City. I love your channel. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate you saying that. Welcome. I've been to Mexico City one time or two times in my life. So beautiful city, very high elevation. It kind of got to me on the third day when I was there, But beautiful city. Would love to go back. So welcome to everybody from Mexico. Kevin says, neither. I'm from Kerala, India. Kevin, why did I think you were from Ghana? I apologize, but yeah, welcome. Hope things are well in Kerala. Himsteak, my friend, good to see you too. Welcome back. I know you're a big supporter, so thank you so much for coming back. Hope you're well. Okay, so that's all the global roll call for now. I do see more people on Instagram, so please don't be shy. Again, the reason I ask people to tell us where they're from is to keep the conversation inclusive. I don't want people to think that we only discuss, like, you can only be a high-end data scientist to participate or whatnot. Feel free to introduce yourself. Okay, so I'm going to go back to some of the questions. Oh, real quick here. TP says, hi, I'm from Tampa, Florida. Welcome. It's always nice to see more people from Florida. It's a big state, but for some reason I don't have a lot of viewers there from my analytics. But welcome, good to see you, TP. All right. Okay, so Front End Baby says yes, it's baby. The elevation of the city is up to 2,500 kilometers, or well, 2,500 meters, I think is what he meant. Yeah, it's a very elevated city in Mexico City. I really enjoyed it. Really good food in Mexico City. You know, maybe I have other people from Mexico on the stream, or maybe only Front End Baby will understand this. But in Mexico, there is a chain of restaurants called Sanborns. And I love Sanborns. And people, my Mexican friends always make fun of me when I say Sanborns, because I think Sanborns has like a reputation of being like an older person's restaurant, you know, like for like older people or like retired people. I don't care. I love Sanborns. They have really good food there. So anytime I'm in Mexico, in any city in Mexico, I go to a Sanborns because they're all over Mexico. So I like Sanborns. I love going there. So hope you're doing well there, Front End Baby. Couple more of the introductions. Cool Nav says, hey Dennis, I'm Navrichit from UP India. UP India. Help me understand what that is. I don't know what the UP part says. Leonardo says, hi Dennis, I've been a bit off due to summer break, but I'm here. Well, good to see you, Leo. I know we interact quite a bit, so thank you so much for your continued support. Himsteak says, by the way, I'm Patrick Stefanik on other social medias. It's been fun connecting with you everywhere. Oh yeah. I realize that. I know you sent. I know we saw the message on LinkedIn recently, and I appreciate what you sent out. Thank you for the shout out. You know, hope you're doing well in your studies. Coming back to questions. So CoolNav says it's a state. UP India is a state. Okay. Good to know. Thank you so much for that. All right, let me scroll back in the chat. If you're still joining us, feel free to introduce yourself. But I want to come back to some of the questions that I promised to address. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, so TP says, hey Dennis, I have an interview coming up with a COO for AI intern position, as I will be reporting to him directly. Any advice on how to approach the conversation? I'm assuming that you're in school or you know, still kind of early in your career. Just demonstrate that you're coachable. You know, I've emphasized that before. Showing that you are a coachable person is extremely important, particularly in intern positions. You know, anytime you're early in your career, showing that you are coachable is super important. The person, you know, who's going to be supervising you is going to feel like, you know, they're investing their time in you, right? Because you're going to need a lot of instruction, a lot of hands-on work, right? That's just the nature of being an intern or being a first-year employee, right? So show that you're open, show that you're coachable, show that you're kind of like a sponge that's willing to take in information and learn, right? You don't want to give an indication that you're difficult to train or that you're not going to learn or that you're kind of, you know, closed-minded, right? So show that you're coachable and show that you're enthusiastic, right? Everybody wants to work around enthusiastic people, right? So showing that you're enthusiastic, I think, is very beneficial. So, you know, relax and take the interview as you can. But really, that's just my top tip to you guys. Make sure that you're coachable. Make sure that you're just showing that you're able to learn. That's really important so early in your career. So I hope that helps you. Okay, so Mosin, our friend on YouTube. By the way, I still can't get over the fact that this chat shows the icon from where you're checking in from. I love that I got this to work across all the platforms. So we can see each other's chat. Really like that. So Mosin on YouTube says, if we want to move away from notebooks, does that mean we need a GPU to run big models locally, or do we need to subscribe to AWS, Azure, etc.? It means some of those, but those aren't your only options. So first of all, no, moving away from notebooks does not mean GPU. It just means that you're going to have to manage the environments on your own, right? Because the notebook technically is managing the environments, the kernel management and all that. So all it means is you're going to be doing that on your own, but you can still do it with Conda, right? So it's not complex. It's just doing it from a command line interface instead. So no, you can still run on CPU. And also it doesn't mean that you're running models locally. Just because you're using an IDE like Visual Studio Code or whatever, doesn't mean you have to do it locally. Personally, if let me know in the chat if you guys want a video on this, but I've been thinking about doing a video on my personal lab setup. And my personal lab setup has me doing very, very little local processing. I use a server on DigitalOcean that I connect my Visual Studio to. And then what I do is I have I have a big monitor. I have Visual Studio on one side, and I have my DigitalOcean command line interface. Excuse me, I shouldn't say DigitalOcean. I have my server's command line interface over on the other side. And I say that I don't want to say DigitalOcean because if you want to advance in your career, another thing you should do is be prepared to work a command line interface apart from any Google or any AWS or Azure interface that runs your servers, right? So DigitalOcean is my server host, and that's how I initiate my server. But once I have access, I'm working in my SSH terminal, I'm working from the command line interface, and I'm managing that server end to end. I do my own Python installs, I do my own Conda installs, so on and so forth. I manage my environments, all of that I do in a command line interface. So that's what I'm talking about when I'm saying to get away from notebooks, to start managing things on your own. You certainly could run it locally, maybe you don't have the resources to get a server host or whatnot. That's totally okay. It will put a ceiling on the types of models you can do, but it's a very high ceiling, right? I do not want to hear anyone say, well, I can't do modeling because I'm working on my local machine. You can do plenty of modeling on what your CPU can handle. You may even have a PowerBook or a Mac Mini that has an M1, has one of the M chips in it, right? I said M1 because that's what I have in my Mac Mini. But you could also be doing a lot. The M1 is an extremely capable chip, and I have an M3 in my notebook, and that's an even more capable chip, right? So don't let local running stop you, or don't let it intimidate you like, oh, well, I can't get away from notebooks because now I got to move to GPU. That's not necessarily true. So I think that's more of an answer that you wanted, but the goal is more to get you working in a pure script, right? Just your Visual Studio Code and just a command line interface. Those are extremely valuable skills that you're going to need when you start working in an enterprise environment, in a distributed environment, in a non-cloud environment. Not everybody uses the cloud, guys. Not every industry, every company out there uses the cloud. You might have a AWS certificate on your resume, but it's not going to hold the weight that you think it does if you're sending it to a company that runs their own local servers, their own data centers, and they want somebody who can work from a command line interface in Linux, right? That company is going to look at your AWS certificate and say, yeah, great, but I really need a Linux person, right? So you got to get used to working in those types of environments straight from the command line. So it doesn't have to happen overnight. You can do a gradual shift into it, but just think about it. Just think about your next project and doing it that way, all right? Okay. Danny TQ94 says, I just had an interview. I don't know. I felt I lacked in answering with an example. What kind of an example, Danny? Let us know a little bit more detail there. But look, interviews never go as bad as you think they do, right? So first thing we got to do is you got to relax. Take that pressure off your shoulders. I know that interviewing can be very stressful, a lot of anxiety, but they never go as poorly as you think they do, right? And as far as answering with examples, it's always beneficial to walk into an interview having already done the work of a data scientist, right? I've done a couple of videos on this. You're welcome to find them on my YouTube channel. But I encourage you to do your own studies. Get out there, find the studies, find the data, and do the work on your own. When you're able to do that and walk into an interview and say, hey, I saw this study, I found the data, I ran my own version of that study on that data, and here's my results. If you can walk somebody through that in an interview, that's super powerful for an interview. And two, it's going to help you feel mentally better, not just during the interview, but when you get the job. Because now you're walking into the job having already done some of the same things that they're going to ask you to do, right? Because, I ask a lot of people to think about that. Okay, so you got the job, but now what are you going to do? Now you're going to show up on your first day and they're going to start throwing all these things at you that you have to respond to, right? Because now you're the data science guy, right? So by doing these studies on your own, you're going to feel a lot better once you get the job and are able to get out there and do the work, right? So, Danny, don't worry. You probably didn't do as bad as you think you did. But start doing some of your own studies. That's going to help build experience and confidence. Vish P says, sir, can you tell about your journey, how you started in data scientist? Yeah, sure. I don't think I've ever shared that at least not on a live stream. But I am somebody who came into data science in the middle of my career. I like to think that data science is like the second half of my career. For the first half, I did a lot of software development. I did a lot of work in the Microsoft .NET framework. I did that for 10 years, something like that. And I say that, but I was a very, very early adopter of .NET. I started working in .NET when they released Beta 2. I remember that I was speaking at a conference, and one of the gifts at the conference was the Beta 2 release of Microsoft .NET. So I've been working with it from like the very, very early start. And I basically did everything you could do in .NET. Websites, console apps, services, anything you can name, I've done in .NET. And I basically just kind of got bored of it. I worked into different languages. I worked in VB.NET. I worked in C#, ASP.NET. I basically did everything, and I got bored. And I did some self-reflection. I came across the book Mastery by Robert Greene, and that book had a huge influence on me. And I decided that my life's mastery was really more around data science, and that's how I made the shift into data science. And that's basically what I've been dedicating myself to, because I'm very passionate about it and just really enjoy it. So I came into data science with a very strong development background. I went back for some graduate studies. This is kind of what encouraged me to go back for some of my master's studies. And I basically did the same things that I advise now. If you go to YouTube and you check out my 2-hour class on starting your own study, in finding the data and doing your own work, doing the work of a data scientist, that's what I did. Because when I wanted to come into data science, I took a very hard look at my resume. You got to take a very honest look at your resume. And I said, hey, this isn't the resume of a data scientist. And I just didn't have the deep skills as a data scientist. I hadn't put in the hours, right? I hadn't put in the hours to create the skills and the mastery. So a big transition part of my life into data science was every Wednesday and Thursday at 2 p.m., I had an appointment with myself. I would go to my Starbucks, my local coffee shop, and I would sit there until they kicked me out. And I would do this every single Wednesday and Thursday, and I did it for months on end. And I would sit there and I would do my own data science studies. I would do my own models. I would write my own articles. I would come up with my own conclusions. I would just sit there and do the work. And keep in mind that I didn't have any interviews. I didn't have any contracts. I didn't have anything lined up. I was doing this for me, for my skills, for my own development. Nobody was paying me for this. It was just like a commitment I made to myself. Like, if I want to be a data scientist, then I'm going to go out and do the work, right? It's funny you asked me this, and the reason why I'm spending a lot of time this, because I was thinking about this morning on my walk, and I was thinking to myself, I must have done like, maybe not 100, but somewhere between like 50 to 100 EDA exercises on my own before I ever got a job as a data scientist. Like between my schoolwork and like getting like my first like official data science job, I must have done like 50 EDAs on data that I found across the internet. Like, and again, that was just me. I nobody was paying me for that. I did it for myself. I didn't have any interviews lined up. I wasn't even sending out my resume for data scientist interviews because I wasn't ready. So, I must have done like 50 EDAs, couple dozen models, couple dozen articles that I wrote, displaying my results and stuff like that. But, that was me putting in the hours, putting in the work that's required to become a data scientist. So, I'm going to stop there because, my career just kind of took off from there and all that. And I think I've spent enough on this answer. I want to get some of the other questions. But, I hope that gives you an idea a little bit of the transition that I took as far as how I came into it. But it really was a lot of work before I even started sending out my resume, before I started putting myself out there as a data scientist. So I'm encouraging you to do that because it's something that I think is really important, because it's not just for you and to do better in interviews, but it's also to prepare you for the job. What happens when you show up on your first day? Now you got to be a data scientist, right? So many people are focused on the interview and then they get the job and it's like, oh crap, what do I do now, right? So I hope that gives you an idea of that preparation required for that. Okay, so let me move on. I'm spending a lot of time on the individual answers. Sorry about that, guys, but I'm determined to get to more questions. But thank you for the question. I love it. Okay, Saffron. Saffron says, I have a question. I'm a student for master's degree, so I can get any straightforward idea where I can upskill my data science knowledge. Thanks for streaming. Really helpful for all of us. Yeah, thanks for saying that. Again, maybe somebody in the chat can tell me if there are other data science live streams. Again, I don't know. I don't even watch the other accounts. But let me know if anybody else is doing this. But I do this because it's fun and, there's other reasons I'll share later. But, to me, this is fun. But let me know if there's anybody else out there. All right. Any straightforward idea where I can upskill my data science knowledge? Are you studying data science in your master's program? Or let me know what you're studying in your master's program, Saffron. But if you're still in school, try to take some business courses, right? If you're still in school, try to take some business stuff. Not everything you study in school has to be technical, right? You can learn some of the soft skills, or, take a business course, take a communications course. There's a lot, those items are still going to help you as a data scientist. Maybe you can swap out like a Python course for a communication course, right? Like, you can learn Python on your own, but it's really hard to learn communication on your own, right? So maybe you want to consider doing some swapping like that, where you're building your soft skills, not necessarily all of your technical skills, right? Because, there's a lot of talking, a lot of meetings, a lot of planning, a lot of strategy that goes into data science that you're just not going to learn in school. But it's super critical, not just for like your first year, but more for your career growth, right? If you're a data scientist, even if like you're in your second, your third or fourth year, right, you're a legitimate data scientist, there's going to be a ceiling to your progress if you don't have proper communication skills, right? There's going to be a limit to how far you can go in your career until you do that. So start preparing now, right? Maybe, like I said, maybe you want to swap out a Python course or a database course for a communications course, right? You can learn the other stuff on your own, but communication is a lot harder. You kind of need the guidance of a professor for that, right? So think about that, Saffron. And if you want to do a follow-up, let me know in the chat, okay? Okay, let me make sure I get to other questions. Deathlock29, have you been to India? I have not. I have been all over the world. I've flown over India. I've flown from Dubai to Bali, so I'm pretty sure you passed India in that portion. But no, I've never been to India. I've had staff there. I have friends there. Plenty of people have invited me to go. But I definitely want to go there. I hope that my travels take me there sometime. But no, I have never been to India. Would love to go. But maybe not during the summer. I heard the summer is tough there. Okay, so let me make sure. Drusans Francis says, I'm from Chennai, India. Well, good, welcome. And it's not too late to introduce yourself, guys. If you're in the chat on any of the platforms, I see plenty of people still on my Instagram. Feel free to introduce yourself. But thanks for being here, Drusan. Good to see you. You may call me Tim. Hi, and I believe, you're saying Michigan, right? Because Tim, I know you've been on the streams before, so I'm assuming you're from Michigan. So good to see you, Tim. Hope you're well. TP810 says that they're a new grad. Congratulations. Somya Viswanathan. I know I've seen you in the chats before. Thanks for coming back, my friend. And you're from India. Well, hope you're well. Hope your family is well. Okay, so CoolNav says, my question is, I am an associate software developer with 1 year of experience. I am thinking of switching domain to machine learning and AI, taking the relevant courses, but have small doubt whether this is a good move. Only you can say if it's a good move or not. I am very much an advocate of following your passions in life. So why are you making the switch to data science? Is it something that you're passionate about, or other motivations? So I really can't answer this question for you, CoolNav. It's really about what you want, right? There was a reason why you went into software development, right? So what is the reason you want to go now into data science or machine learning? Or you mentioned AI, machine learning, right? So I have a roadmap on YouTube. It's called my Data Science Roadmap for Students. And in it, I recommend that you read the book Mastery by Robert Greene and help figure out what it is that you want to pursue for the rest of your life, right? Because, data science is a serious profession that requires a lot of work. So I want you to kind of, make sure that you're doing things for the right reasons and in the right way, right? Maybe data science is your passion. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's something else. Whatever it is, you should be pursuing that. So if you want to provide more information in the chat, let me know. But, you really need to decide why you're doing this. Why are you making the switch, okay? Front End Baby, our friend in Mexico City, says, quick question. Is it better to choose a data science master's degree in the UK for 1 year, or is it better to do a master's in generative AI in Mexico? Oh, wow, that's a good question. I don't know. I'm going to focus on the location question because, as I've mentioned before, I think choosing whether to do a master's or not in the first place is a very personal decision. I had a very big gap in between my studies, but that was what fit me. So, I don't always feel comfortable advising people on masters. But data science in the UK or generative AI in Mexico. You know what? Let's open this up for the chat. So chat, if you're here, again, you don't have to be some big data scientist to reply. I make things inclusive. So just write which one you would choose. Would you choose the data science in the UK or Gen AI in Mexico? So type in your preference. Let us know which one you would choose. I see more people joining on Instagram. So if you're just coming in, quick poll question: data science degree in UK or generative AI in Mexico. Which one would you choose? Front End Baby, remind me at the end. I'll give you what I think, but let's open that up to the chat. I don't want to bias the chat. Let's see what people think. Okay, and just as an example, or as more information, Front End Baby does say the masters in Mexico last 2 years. I think most masters would last about that. If the one in the UK is different, let us know. But I think it's reasonable that most masters programs are about 2 years. So that's not a surprise. Okay, TP says, I was a data science analyst with the company before as well, but I didn't continue to finish up my last semester. I've been studying my NLP AI notes. Okay, so this is the company you're going to interview with again. You were with them before, and then you're reapplying. Is that what it is? If so, then what's the worry? I think you're going to be just fine. So let us know how that goes, CP. Bongo Padye. Bongo Padye, did you tell us where you're from? Let us know your location and all that. How fit is an automation testing professional having 10 years of experience in domain fit for, I'm going to assume you meant to say a data scientist role. It depends. Let me know why you're looking to make the move. That's quite a big move, right? To go from automation testing, I'm assuming you mean like QA testing, to a data scientist role. Help me understand about the reasons for that change. 10 years of automation testing, were you working in Python? What was the language for that? Or were you working in a testing tool? Give me a little bit more information there, okay? So Soumya says, as a fresher, gaining practical experience through projects is beneficial, even though we may lack domain-specific knowledge. However, is this a significant concern during interviews? No, I think you're going to do just fine, even though you don't have domain-specific knowledge. And keep in mind, when I'm talking about you walking into an interview, having done some studies and kind of walking the interviewer through the study, it's totally okay if that study is not in the same domain as the company that you're applying to. The point is that you're showing that, one, you had the discipline to do the work, and two, that you're walking them through the process, right? And that's what matters the most. Remember, just in case we're not clear on this already, guys, data science is not a result. Data science is not an algorithm. Data science is a process. It's a methodology that you follow to get to a result, right? Whether the result is right or wrong, who cares? It's the process that you follow that is data science, right? So Soumya, I am totally okay if you are willing to say, hey, I don't fully understand this industry, but I understand this article and I understand this data, and I'm going to take that and I'm going to exercise my abilities as a data scientist and walk through an EDA, walk through an ideation process, and walk through a model building. That is what counts, right? So that is what you should be walking your interviewer through and saying, this is the raw data I started. This is what I learned from the EDA. This is the resulting idea I had for a business use case. This was the model, and this is what my results meant to me, right? It's about displaying that process, not necessarily, oh, I did an analysis on your competitors, or I did this huge, massive neural network on it. It doesn't have to be a big model. It just has to be that you show that you did the work, that you followed the steps, right? That's the important part. So don't get caught up in how complex it has to be. Just do it, just show the process. So Soumya, I love the attitude that you're displaying in the first part of your message, because even if you are just in your first year or whatnot, don't let that stop you. You can still go out there and do the work. Even if you don't understand everything, at least do as much as you can, right? That's totally okay. So good luck to you, Soumya. I think you're on the right track there. Drew-san Francis says, with a background in medicine, what skill courses would you suggest to switch over to a career in data? Also, are healthcare analytics and health data analytics different? So answering your second question, no, they're not different. They're basically the same. It's just two words for the same tasks. Okay, so it sounds like you want to use some of your health knowledge in some sort of data career. So I'm gonna guess. Actually, I just realized something. I pronounced your name Drew-san Francis, but it's actually Dr. Susan Francis. That's funny. So excuse me, Dr. Susan, I apologize. So I'm going to guess that your weakest point to moving into data science would be your programming skills. If I'm correct on that, let me know. If I'm not correct on that, let me know. But working with Python is probably going to be your best bet. So start building some of your Python skills and start working with more data in Python. For someone like you, a basic exercise that I suggest is think about your last Excel sheet, like whatever processing you did in Excel, whatever, pick a sheet that you want. look at the operations and all the results and everything else you got in that, and go and copy those results or make those results happen in Python, in a Python script. So you're going to be using Python, you're going to be using pandas most likely, right? But go and get the same results, duplicate those results with pandas code. If you can do that, that's a pretty good basis for developing your Python career, right? And keep in mind that I'm not talking about doing any modeling or anything. Even if you're just doing like sums and averages and moving some data around, that's okay. That's a valuable initial exercise for someone that wants to make a move into data science like you, where you have a strong background in another career. But just go ahead and duplicate that in Python, right? So don't worry about modeling. Don't worry about neural networks or complicated libraries or anything else. Just duplicate whatever you've done in Excel. If you can get to that, you're on your way to being able to learn more, and kind of it's a good foundation to build on, right? So good luck with that, doctor, and let us know how that turns out. From now on, you're just going to be the doctor of the chat. So I'm just going to call you doctor. Yeah. So Leonardo says that's true, specifically if you need to build a model from scratch and unique to some company, I think. Yeah, I think you're referring back to some of the building the skills for the first day, right? And yeah, super valuable to walk in having already done your own modeling on your first day, because now they're going to look to you for the ideas and the modeling. So you're going to have a lot more confidence if you can say, yeah, I've already done this 10 times on my own, right? So absolutely, I agree with you there. Bilal says, hi, Dennis. Hi, Bilal. Good to see you, my friend. Hope you're doing well. So Himsteak says, I'm struggling to get interviews and I'm not sure why. I've got some projects under my belt. Any suggestions? More projects? Are you referring to getting the interviews, or are you able to get to the interview stage and not getting the callbacks? So let me know if you want to provide more information there. But if you're struggling to get interviews, then I would want to take a revised look at your resume, right? Take a look at your resume and start thinking about what you can improve there. My most effective resume for data science, or really even for most technical jobs, was a resume that I had where the very top, even before anything, just right immediately after your contact information, the very next section was a list of all the technical skills. So Python, 3 years, machine learning modeling, 4 years, Keras framework, 2 years. Like literally just list out your technical skills. And I have a lot of technical skills. So I had it as 3 different columns because each column was pretty short, right? But consider a resume where all you just do is just list out those skills and the years that you had with it, right? And feel free to include other things in there, like, writing skills, 2 years, or public speaking courses, 1 year, or whatever, right? But let the recruiter, let the recruiter know from the very beginning, hey, this is my background and skills. I think these skills can help your company, or I think these skills are relevant to your position. So let me know, Himsteak, if you think, it's something with your resume or something else, feel free to add to the chat. But that's what I would do, okay? If you're new to the chat, let me know the city, state, and country you're from, again, just to make it more inclusive. New Sabir says, I failed on an interview yesterday, sir. Interviewer said I'm lacking basic fundamentals. Okay, that's very harsh feedback. Did you ask for that feedback, or did they tell you that? Because that's really harsh feedback. I've probably done hundreds of interviews, but I tell people I've run dozens of interviews. I would never give that type of feedback to a candidate. I'm sorry that you went through that. I think that's terrible for them to say that. And look, one, you never do as bad as you think you do, right? So take a deep breath. They never go as poorly as you think you do. And 2, not every interview is going to go well. Okay. The important part is that you're putting yourself out there and that you're getting to the interview stage. And at the worst case scenario, you got some more practice for your next interview, right? But keep on putting yourself out there. Not interview is going to go well, but guess what? You don't need every interview to go well. You just need one job. It's not like you can work 4 jobs at the same time, right? You just need one interview to go well, right? So I'm sorry you went through that, because that's terrible feedback. I would never tell that to a candidate. That's bad form. So you know what? Maybe that's a company you weren't gonna you didn't want to work with anyways. Right? Somebody gave me that feedback in an interview. They've told me everything I need to know. I don't want to work here. Right? That's lacking emotional intelligence when they give you that feedback. But just relax. You didn't do as bad as you think you do. And if you did do poorly, who cares? You're on to the next interview, right? That's in the past. You got to leave it in the past, on to the next, right? Eyes forward. Keep your chin up. You're going to be just fine, okay? Just keep a positive attitude, because attitude also comes across. You don't want to let these types of experiences lead to a negative attitude, because that comes across. So keep your chin up, keep your eyes forward. That interview's in the past. We're on to the next one, okay? So good luck, my friend. This piece says it is very helpful. I don't know which portion you're referring to, but if you got some help out of this chat, I'm glad. Cool Nav says has happened. I guess you're referring to something in the chat that has happened to you previously. I'm sorry. I guess I'm failing to understand context in the last 2 messages. Rex Riker, our friend in New York. I remember that Rex won our last community poll in our last chat. So good to see you, Rex. Good to see you back. Hi, Dennis. Not sure if it's already been asked. It's said it's been difficult to find a job these days. Do you think the industry is oversaturated? I don't think the industry is oversaturated. So I do agree with you. Job hunting is definitely a challenge. I think it's a challenge across multiple industries, not just data science. So I don't view that as a sign that data science is oversaturated. But as I have shared before, I also think that there are reasons to be optimistic. The reason I say that is because I'm seeing more hiring, more postings at the executive level, right? Because I track the executive postings for some of my clients, and just to kind of keep a pulse on the industry, right? So I'm seeing more hiring at that level. Well, guess what? They're not going to do that themselves. If you hire somebody like me for a director of AI, I'm going to go out and get a staff, right? I would never take that job unless somebody told me that they had the budget for a staff, right? That's my first question. How many staff are you going to give me for this position, and what projects do you want me to deliver, right? And then I balance it out. So if you're optimistic that AI is something that more companies are going to do, I think there's reasons to do that. I'm seeing the hiring at the executive level. So that will have a downstream effect on more companies building out more data scientists on their staff. So I'm going to put that at the next 6 to 12 months, we should see a rise in that, right? I could be wrong, and I'm happy to be wrong, right? Because you're going to be wrong as a data scientist sometimes. But I'm seeing enough of that hiring at those higher levels to indicate that there should be a growth in more postings later on, right? So let's all stay positive. Let's all stay optimistic. Let's all stay sharpening our skills, right? You got to sharpen the saw. But I think that there's reasons to be optimistic for the market here in the next few months. I have about 8 to 10 more minutes that I can stream, guys, because Instagram cuts me off at an hour. I really hate that they cut me off. But that's just the Instagram rules, that you can't stream for more than an hour. But I'm going to go here for another 8 to 10 minutes. All right, so let me keep on going here. Jessica Romero. Jessica is joining us from YouTube, so thank you so much, Jessica. Good to see you. Is it better to choose a master's degree in data science in the UK? Jessica, that's the same question that we had before from Mexico City, right? Wasn't there another question from Mexico City with the same item? That's weird. Coming in as a second name. Okay, so we're going to skip that question for now. Yeah, that's weird. I thought we had another person from Mexico City with a different name with the same question. Okay, so Mosin says, WRTEDA, I started my DS AI path from 15 months ago, only focusing on AI models and math. That's a mistake. but I'm only now hearing about the importance of EDA. I am desperate for an EDA skills roadmap. Mohsen, I think that you're going to need a little bit more than an EDA skills roadmap. What you need is you need an overall plan for your data science studies. Jumping directly into AI models and math is not great. Yeah. So Mohsen, on my YouTube channel, I have a data science roadmap for students. Please go through that, because that's where I lay out a similar path to what I follow, except I explain how I would do it in present day. But you really, I would like to see you have more structure around how you're studying. And quite frankly, maybe you should reflect on your motivations for why you study in the beginning. Because when you're jumping to AI and math, to me, that indicates that you're jumping to a job. You just want the job and the career. But you got to put in the work, and you got to put in the reflection to make sure that data science is something that you want to do, right? You know, I equate being a data scientist to being like a doctor or a lawyer, where you need to learn, but you're also going to be learning the rest of your career. You know, a surgeon, for example, they don't learn every single surgical procedure in school. They learn the fundamentals and the basics, and then they go on to learn as they're in their practice, in their career, right? And they're always learning, right? There's always new techniques available and things like that, right? So you got to take it as a serious profession. You know, nobody really becomes a doctor or a lawyer by mistake, right? I mean, doctors are usually, you know, dedicated to the human body. Lawyers are fascinated by the law and procedures that we have in our society, right? So Mohsen, I would ask you to maybe put a little bit more reflection into what you really want to do, and then more of a framework around your studies, because that's really what's going to help you over the long term. Because remember, I hope that this comes across also to all of you in the chat, that I'm not talking about you guys being a data scientist just to get the next job or just for the next 2 years. I'm talking about data science as a career, what it means as a profession, right? So Mohsen, that's what I would reply to you. Maybe take some time to reflect on that a little bit and see what it is that you really want to do, okay? Let me keep on going down here. John Murphy says, hello, first stream in. Well, welcome, John. Good to see you. Glad to see that you're here. Hopefully you're doing well, and hopefully you keep on coming back. Let us know where you're checking in from, John. Would love to know the city, state, and country that you're checking in from. Let me keep on going down because I'm running out of work. Excuse me, I'm running out of time here. A couple more minutes. So Leo says, I would say the master's in the UK. Yeah, good answer, Leo, but I'm still a little confused on why that question came from two people. I hope that's not an attempt to troll our chat room, which is a weird troll, right? I'm going to troll this chat room with two different names asking about a master's degree. Yeah. So I might agree with you on that, but I don't want to bias the chat. So let me keep on going here. I'm trying to pick the last couple questions here because I'm going to have to sign off here in a couple of minutes. Danny Ramones, good to see you, my friend. I know you've been a big supporter, so good to see you. A master's in AI will be outdated when you finish it. Ooh, that's a hot take, isn't it? You know, when I first read your question, I was going to say, no, AI is here to stay. But I realized that that's not what you're saying. You're probably saying that what you learn in the class will be outdated when you finish it. Yeah, that's likely. That's likely. Hopefully you're in a master's program that teaches you a lot of really good fundamentals that you can then take on to kind of keep up with the changes in AI. Because you're absolutely right, Danny. AI as an industry is going to be moving very, very quickly, right? So yes, you can't just like put a pause on your own personal work and your own personal study of AI just because you're going to go into their program, right? That would be a mistake. So you have to keep up with the fundamentals, keep up with what they're teaching you, while also looking at the current industry trends, looking at the latest releases of the LLMs and the other approaches, keeping up with the white papers. That way, when you graduate, you have your academics, but you're also up to speed on everything else going on in the industry. So I agree with you, Danny. A good point. I love that you put that in the chat. Something for all of us to think about. Last question I'm going to take here, guys. John Murphy, what are the main differences that you've seen as a data scientist versus a machine learning engineer? Technically speaking, I don't really view those as two separate roles. You know, they're kind of one and the same, right? To me, data science is the overarching field of everything we do. And machine learning is one of the tools within that field, because machine learning is not the only aspect of data science, right? It's a big aspect of data science, but it's not the only one. So John, I would encourage you to think about it as, you know, data science is the umbrella of everything, and machine learning is one of the components within that umbrella, right? I think, you know, machine learning engineer is a really fun career. A lot of interesting things still happening there. You know, still a lot of available jobs. And I think there's going to be a growth in jobs. There are lots of reasons to be optimistic. But I hope that helps. The breakdown of what the industry and what all those tools look like is maybe something I'll do a content on in the future. But yeah, I hope that it helps you. But plenty of reasons to still want to become a machine learning engineer. I think it's a lot of fun. All right, guys, I'm looking at the time. Instagram's going to cut me off here in about a minute. I hate the fact that I leave questions in the chat. I'm so sorry. Please keep on coming back to the live streams. I stream every Sunday and Thursday at 1500 GMT. So today's Thursday. You can find me again in another 2 days. I'm back on Thursday. Really happy to have had all of you here. Really appreciate all the questions and all the enthusiasm. I just, you know, as I say in my content, I'm just sitting here alone talking into my iPhone. No idea why any of you guys are here, but really happy to have this community and to be able to share my experience and my background. I've had a long career in data science, and I'm happy to kind of share that experience with you and keep building the profession, because I'm passionate about the profession. I want to keep on bringing new people into it. So really glad all of you are here. So I'll see you again Sunday. Be safe out there. Stay cool. Take care of yourself. Take care of your families. And I'll see you next time.